Title 49, Subchapter 10, Surface Transportation Board, Part 1201, railroad companies, conversion table of operating expense accounts, transportation operating revenue accounts, income accounts, retained income accounts, general balance sheets, operating expense accounts, conversion tables. And then that goes on for quite some pages. Alright, well, instead we're going to call this Subpart B branch line accounting systems 900 definitions. And we are moving along. Subpart B branch line accounting system number 900 definition. Left otherwise required with the context following definition apply with the subpart account means the account with the source of transportation uniform system of accounts of a railroad company. Title 49 CFR 1201 subpart A. If the IC Act interstate means Interstate Commerce Act. As amended, branch line means a rail or segment line that has been designated on transportation system diagram in categories 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4. Title 49 CFR 115210 B 1, 2, 3, 4, or B, and subject to the directive service order of the under section 304 D3. And 3R Act, and C is subject with the rail continuing service agreement entered in the prior designation line, a system diagram. Service transportation, STB or board means Service Board, Transportation Board, designated state agency may be the instrumental created with the state with the designated appropriate authority to administer with the coordinate with the state rail with the plan is required within Section 5J2 of the Department of Transportation Act, 90 Statute 131 or Section 402C1A of the Railroad 3R Act, 87 Statute 8985, regulation promulgated pursuant thereof. Alright, your railroad means the common carrier of the railroad defined within Section 13, Interest Commerce Act, Title 4913. 3R Act means the Regional Rail Reorganization Act of 1973, Public Law Number 3236 87, the Statute 985 as amended. 4R Act means Railroad Revitalization Regulatory Reform Act of the 1976, Published Law 94-210, number 90, Statute 31. The double X, when used in place of digit for the 6-digit account numbers, mean that all accounts containing the remaining 4 digits are included. Example 1121 double X refers to all salary, wages, accounts, and locomotives because 11 designates in salary, wages, 21 designates locomotive. Thus, the 1121 includes all the following accounts: 112101, 40, 48, 39, 99. Similar to double X 3161. X3167 means accounts containing 31 train operations, 67 locomotive fuel. Alright, 910, purposes and scope. Section 205E1A of the 3R Act directs the Office of the Issue of the regulation of the permanent collection and the publication of the Consolidated Rail Corp. or Conrail by profit the railroad's information necessary to determine accurate revenue attributable to avoidable costs over the units, line density, line schedule of the abandonment. The accurate information is intended to facilitate determine the revenues avoiding of cost of abandonment proceeding the potential officer for the subside information intended with the compatible with the regional subsiding standard for those lines which are not conveyed with the Conrail under the final system plan and with the national subsiding standards of Title 49 CFR Part 1152 Subpart D over all other lines purposes of the branch line accounting system regulations as we specify the accounting system for the collection and publication of the information. Alright, 1020, collection of data. Lines for which the data is required of the railroad should collect the data. All branch lines meet the criteria tier listed in paragraph 1 through 4 below. The data collected are specified in section 920B. The branch line of the categories 1, 2, and 3 is system diagram map including respective lines for which the carrier the intent of the file of the abandonment application for 3 years lines carriers have understudy the our potential subject of the abandonment lines of which the abandonment application is pending for the collection data on which of the lines and comments for the first day of the month of the line has been designated one of the categories. Continuing long branch line with retain one of these categories of the assignment of the appointment methodology set forth in part 1152 subchapter B. National subsiding standards shall be applied for branch lines operated on and order directed service under the section 304 D3 with the 3R Act. Data shall be collected with the effective date of the order shall be the order is withdrawn. For the branch ordered under the rail service continuation agreement under section 186A of the Interstate Commerce Act, the data shall be collected with the effective of the date of the agreement with the determination of the agreement of the assignment of the operation methodology set forth in part 1152 subchapter B. National subsiding standards shall be applied for branches operated under the rails for the continuation agreement under 304 3R Act. Data collection shall be commenced with the effective date of the agreement shall be the continuing determination date date of the agreement. Data to be collected is data collected shall include the items of the revenue, expense, and service units with it associated with the Title 491152 that describe in the accounting text listed in Section 950. Format of the presentation of these data is specified in Section 940. All right, 930, publication of data. Chairman of the Railroad shall file with it before June 30th of each of the calendar years certifying the include with the regulation of the Appendix 1 of the Railroad shall include with the description of each of the branch line with the use of the format set forth with the Appendix 1 of the regulation. The description of each of the branch line will cover the same data with the submitted on Title 49 1152.1 section prescribed the branch line information required with the conjunction with the system diagram image of the map of the specifying the line designation state of the county with the transverse delineation milepost the location of the agency termination stations. Be reserved access record of the records account with the working papers of the documents receiving the revenue copies for the unit of the data of each of the branch for the railroad must maintain the data that shall be made available for the inspection examination by the board line statute for lines situated within the state of the designated state agency time and the place for the mutual agreement with the parties of the railroad shall also for reproduce such records for the designated state agency provided agency pay with a reasonable cost thereof. D. Waivers. Modifications serve the transportation office of economics may respect with the individual request upon good cause shall be shown modified any of the requirement of the section not required by law. All right, 940 annual branch line report. The section specified in the format with the data collected each of the branch lines shall be maintained. The definition is each account with the representative of 950, and then shows attributable revenue and then on branch available available costs. And that continues on the charts. Chart. C, service units. All right, 950 text and chart accounts. All right, text and charts account with the section defined with the account with the outline format shown under the 940 with the regulation. Attributed revenues 101 freight with the account shall include the revenue transportation freight with the transit with the top of the regular organization privileges upon the basis of the law and tariff freight rates. Account shall include the collection of the except for the tariff charge with the except for those in such account with the segregated with the held and subject to the refund process derived with the sale of the unclaimed the refused freight which has been transported in accordance with the contract shipment with the shall be cited with the account with in case of whether such items readily identified with the uncollectible tariff charges on such equipment. Shipments shall be charged with the account. The amounts determined to be the uncollectible account within accordance with the tax account 6361 general accountability accounts. Items to be credited with the revenue on the basis revenue based on local freight tariff the rates regardless of the class of the train freight is transported. Carries proportional of the revenue upon the basis of the freight tariff rate regardless of the class of the train to which the freight is transported. Revenue transportation of mail matter, empty mail pouches as freight rates. D. Revenue transportation freight special trains rated based on the weights of shipment of the revenue based on the classification freight when transport tariff of the transportation caretaker of the freight shipment. The revenues can consigning privilege, revenue stop privilege, revenue transit privilege, revenue upon basis attributed with the out of freights and the rates of the water transfers. Revenue of the transportation failures, trailer and flat car, container service with the base for the all rail line haul of the freight tariff rates under the agreement of the motor carrier railroad joint haul from loading unloading trailer containers of the flat cars upon the base of the tariff rates under arrangement with the motor carrier railroad joint haul line. Or items be charged. Amounts be paid as the bridge or ferry attributed to the freight, and the amounts paid for the completing a haul, with the amounts paid with the elevation of the freight, with the amounts paid with the switching and service of the connection of the transportation with the freight with the basis switching tariff with the allowance through the rates, including the amounts paid with the switching empty car with the connection freight with revenue movement is amount paid for the transferred freight between states attributed to allowance the others litterage and waferage carries proportional overcharge with the resulting either the error in its rate with the weights of classification computation. The carrier's proportional refunds the accounts of the routing and the billing. The carrier and then it goes on. Alright, the carrier of the proportion on collective revenue of freight loss of destroyed, and the transit of the carrier's proportion on collective tariff charge of the demand shipment with charge of either shipment or consignor or liability amounts paid with the base of the tariff rates loading and unloading livestock, and all amounts paid with the motor truck with the company lying hauling trailer container with the trailer on flat car container on flat car terminals allowing for the shipment of the uniform the service on basis of the tariff rates notes A, B, and C and D. And E, not noted, 104 switching. 1. The account of the include the revenue of switching services upon the basis of lawful tariff rate. The account shall be credited with the carrier's revenue upon the basis of tariff rate. The carrier allowance to out through the rates of switching of the cars empty all kinds loaded the empty with each local station, which is switching district between the connecting line between local industry, between the connecting line of local industry revenue upon the basis of existing tariff rates for the trap car, ferry car, services of the spotting cars, also revenue from the intra-work switching industrial plan with the revenue with the penalty switching incident with the improper delivery of the cars by others. To the account shall be charged with the amount of the paid with the switching, such for the switching service provided in the switching rate charged with the carrier. 105 water transfer note skipped. On 104, 105 water transfer, the account shall include the revenue from the transfer of the water, fuel, lightage, floatage, and the or passenger freight with the vehicle livestock upon the basis of the lawful local tariff rate. To the account shall also include the revenue of the water transfer of the traffic to the revenue with the towing behind the liter limits of all the other towing with extra charge that made with the insurance with the freight float with the bail out and other costs of the cost the storage float with the gain overage of the boats then pumped forward and performed outstanding parties for the other similar sources. 3. The account shall be charged with the amount payable to the other company, the individual extra lightage, extra towing, all other sources of such payments representing with the revenue collected or credited to the accounts and not directed expenses. Note not noted. 106. Demurrage. The account should include the revenue of the detention cars and incident, unloading, reconsigning of the shop within transit upon the base of the lawful tariff. The demurrage. The account shall include the revenue of the detention of the trailer and containers of using the trailer on flat car, container on flat car, serve as an independent loading and unloading on the basis of the tariff rates. Alright, 110. Incidental. The account signed show the amounts of the carrier to cover the intel with the receiver from the service rendered the incidental with the rail line, water line, transportation for the use of the facility with the expense for the operation maintenance of the separable railway expenses and incidental support. Incidental sources provided elsewhere. Among the items included the account of the revenues derived in the hotels, restaurants, the operation conduct for the stations on the trains of individual companies for the other railway companies. 3. Storage of the sale of the electrical power. 5. Renting property operated, maintaining connection with the property used the carrier transportation operation, railway operation provided elsewhere. 1121. Joint facility credit. These accounts shall include the carrier's proportion of the revenue collected otherwise connection with the operation joint track for the yard terminals. Other facilities including the revenue, hotels, restaurants, grain, elevator, sale of the power, other miscellaneous operation. Note A and B are not noted. 122. Joint facility debt. The account shall include the proportion of revenue for the operation joint track yard terminals or other subsidized cities. Other facilities which incredibly otherwise company would include revenue with the hotel, restaurants, grain, elevator, the power, other miscellaneous operation. Notes A and B not noted. Alright, other income accounts. 506. Revenue property used the other carrier pound with account shall include the total revenue derived from the property used in other carrier pound operation. The cost of the included with the balance sheet with accounting. 737. The property used in other carrier operations. 510. Your miscellaneous rent income. This account shall include the assessed rent of the property owned with the control by the accounting carrier but not provided with the foregoing accounts. 2. This account shall be charged for the cost of maintenance of the property rent with also specified incidental expense with the connection such property the cost of negotiating contracts by advertising tenants, prepaid conveyancing, collectors and commission and analog items. Note A, B, and C. And D. 519. Miscellaneous income. The account shall include all the items not provided with the elsewhere probable credit with the income of the accounts during the current of the year with the amount of the items shall be included with the account cancellation bank accounts representing the unpaid claim wages voucher accounts written off of the base cover the carrier's ability to locate the creditor. Profit the sale of the land used in transportation purposes non-carrier. Land use of transportation non-carrier the property securities acquired for the investment purposes. Oh shit. I didn't mean that. Let's go back. Alright, common insurer however the gain with the exchange of the debt with excluding the debt the maturity was made with the sinking hold and the refunds required with the record of the account with regardless of the account. 599. Subsidized payment pre-existing contract account shall include the payments made with the operating carrier subsidized that 1 existed prior to the commencement of the operation of subsidizing operating agreement. 2 would cease and the freight service on the line would discontinue and be on the branch avoidable cost for the actual portion and expense account personnel. And then it goes into some other stuff. And then it shows the administration. Alright, let's start back. Where we go? And then it shows the personnel repair maintenance account. Should I read this? Alright, I'll come back to this. Alright, we'll come back and start personnel.